Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AEW Dynamite review show here on the unofficial WWE podcast. Today is Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. My name is Mimi Burris, and it is way past my bedtime, but we've got a whole lot to get into in regards to this week's episode of Dynamite. So let's not waste any more time, and you guys know the deal. Let's just jump right in.
Championship means that much. I can't believe what we're seeing here. DMD.
All right, you guys, I hope you have all had a wonderful week. This first week of April, I hope you have all been enjoying the copious amounts of wrestling that we are so graciously blessed with this week. I mean, we've got TakeOver, we had Raw, we have SmackDown, we have NXT, I said TakeOver, we have NXT TakeOver, Night 1 and Night 2, we had AEW Dynamite tonight, we have WrestleMania, SmackDown, whatever the heck that means, and we have WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, just a whole lot of wrestling this week. Super exciting stuff, and so yeah, that's why I'm here on a Wednesday night here to get this podcast out to you guys as soon as possible, because we've got a whole bunch of other content that we are pumping out here on the WWE podcast for you guys. We've got the NXT podcast, we've got rivalries, we've got SmackDown review. I'll be doing the highs and lows for the week. I'm not sure if I'm going to include Saturday night of WrestleMania on that or not. We'll have to see. And we've got, I'm going to do a review show with Anthony DeMarco and Matt on Friday, a weekend review and a prediction show for WrestleMania. Saturday night, we've got Matt and the Botch Guy doing a review show for Night 1 of WrestleMania, and they're back on Sunday night doing another review show of Night 2. So, whole mouthful of content for you guys that is coming to you this week here. Probably the most talked about, the most exciting week in wrestling, even if the builds have been crap and the actual show doesn't necessarily feel like WrestleMania time. It is the spectacle of it all. And yeah, so it's been a super exciting week of all this stuff in wrestling going on. I finished watching TakeOver Night 1 before watching AEW, actually, and I think that's probably the first time I've ever done that. But it was a great show, so I won't spoil anything for you guys if you haven't seen it, but I am looking forward to Night 2, and we'll get into more WWE stuff on the Highs and Lows podcast here, probably dropping on Saturday night, Sunday morning. But yeah, we've got a whole lot to talk about here, guys, with this AEW Dynamite show this week. Super exciting stuff that went on, some storylines progressed, some new stuff going on. No follow-up from that whole Nightmare Family beatdown thing, but I guess whatever. Maybe they're giving that a week to settle. I'm not sure. We will get into that and so much more. And before we go down the card, though, guys, there are two things I quickly want to talk to you guys about. Totally separate topics, but I do want to just mention these two things before we get into the actual match card. So, first and foremost, guys, Mike Tyson. Let's talk about Mike Tyson, who was on AEW this week, and we'll get into his actual involvement in the show tonight. But before we talk about any of that, I do want to just quickly mention, guys, just important not to sweep under the rug. You can have your own views and opinions on all this stuff, but important not to sweep under the rug that we have people who, are either convicted or alleged or, whatever of crimes in this speaking out movement, mostly that came out in 2020 and still bleeding into 2021, of brave men and women speaking out. And Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist from in the 90s. I hate to bring up such a sore topic, but it's important that we don't sweep that stuff under the rug. And if you can watch this and still get enjoyment out of what's going on TV and put that stuff to the side, that is, your prerogative. I do my best, and my opinion is kind of something that I don't really need to express on this podcast to you guys, but I do think it's important that we talk about it and it continues to remain a discussion, because if it doesn't, then WWE and other companies get away with still employing someone like Velveteen Dream. And I'm going to leave that there without going into anything else, because that one speaks for itself. So I just quickly wanted to mention that. I don't ever want to get political with you guys really on this show, but I don't really think that's a political statement. I think that's just a human decency statement. So if it annoys you, sorry. Not sorry. Anyways, moving on. All right, let's talk about some more fun stuff now. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is going to appear on the Broken Skull session with Stone Cold after night 2 of WrestleMania on Sunday. And guys, let me tell you this, I am looking forward to this conversation more than I am looking forward to 3/4 of the WrestleMania card. And I want to talk about it here on this AEW review, because obviously Chris Jericho is on AEW. And I want to hear your thoughts too, guys, so shoot me an email at mimi.realwwepodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you guys think is going to go down. Are they going to talk about Dynamite? Are they not going to talk about Dynamite? How's this whole dynamic going to be? You know, apparently how this whole thing worked out was Stone Cold texted Vince, said, you know, had this great idea to have Jericho on the podcast. Is that cool? Vince was like, it's cool. And then Stone Cold was like, are you sure it's cool? And Vince was like, it's cool. So who knows, you know, who has more control over what is actually said and done on this podcast. I don't know if Vince McMahon has more of a hand in this than it seems. I guess we will have to see, but I can bet you this one, guys, I doubt there's going to be a lot of mentioning of Dynamite or AEW as a whole. I think the reasoning behind that would be, what benefit does that give to WWE? And WWE is a company that, you know, is in it for themselves. They are making it clear that they never want to have some kind of Monday Night Wars thing again. So who knows? You know, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling there is going to be little to no mention of what Chris Jericho is doing now. It is going to be mostly about nostalgia, the past, and they will reminisce on fun Jericho WWE memories, and that's it. Because we didn't really get much of a preview, did we? You know, they're allowing us to speculate, and I have a feeling if you are looking forward to hearing AEW promotion on a WWE podcast with Stone Cold, it's probably not going to happen. Not podcast, interview, whatever you want to call it. All right, guys. All that aside now, let's get into the match card for tonight, because it was a heck of a show. We started off the show with a Hangman Page versus Max Caster match. I loved Max Caster's rap. I think he does a great job. I think I've said it before on this podcast too. He does a great job every week or whenever he's on TV. Made a reference to Joe Biden falling down the stairs and that whole trend of this little Nas. I'm so not hip, guys. The music video thing that's going around about the devil and pole dancing. You guys probably know better than I do. Anyways, pop culture references, didn't sound forced, just a great rap every week. I really think he does a good job. So, that being said, this match went a little bit long for my taste. I think maybe I'm just getting used to these Hangman Page quick matches, but just building up wins, but I don't know, this wasn't anything special. There were a couple cool spots, and the story of this match essentially was that Bowens continued to try to distract the referee, throwing the boombox in there, you know, throwing Page into the barrier, things after things after things, and of course, Hangman Adam Page manages to, you know, overcome all of that, hits the buckshot lariat, and gets the 1, 2, 3. The Dynamite rolls on, and we get to the Death Triangle interview. Obviously, before we talk about that, I don't have a lot of thoughts on this match, guys. Like I told you, this was kind of just serviceable for me. I don't know. As an opening match, I didn't like this. I think you should have put something else as the opening match. This was a boring way to start the show. If you want to throw this in the third hour, go ahead, and maybe instead of the women's division, but Yeah, this was a bad placement. I think if it was later on in the show, I would have been a little bit more okay with it. But no, it's just if I was switching back and forth from NXT Takeover and this, I would have stayed on NXT Takeover. Whatever was going on there was much more interesting than this match. So that's what I have to say about that. And then we get to the interview, quote unquote, with Death Triangle. Who just three great personalities, guys. I love the dynamic of Pac, Penta, and Phoenix. They're going to be asked something, or Tony Schiavone starts asking them about the tag team championship match that's going on next week, and we will talk about that, guys, because I am so freaking excited about that. But anyways, and before they can even say anything, we get Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, the whole deal coming out, and yeah, they just say, we're here, we're back in business, keep an eye out. So this is foreshadowing, obviously, for later on. I'm sure we will see more matches between the trios of men there. And yeah, this was serviceable too. This was doable. It was fun. It was nice to see Trent back. I think the one thing that I have a problem with this, guys, is it might just be me, but I feel like there are every interview segment, it is amazing if the person being interviewed can get out a sentence before someone interrupts them. It's getting too much. Like, I understand, like, that's a good way to build the story or whatever, but, like, you gotta come up with new creative ways to start intertwining things rather than, oh, we'll interview someone, interrupted, interview, interrupt, interview, interrupt. Like, it's over and over and over again. And yeah, I don't know, it's getting to be a little bit much for me, but I like the whole idea of this. I'm excited for next week. We're gonna talk about that later because I am pumped for next week's AEW Dynamite. Alright, moving on. We had a, recap, and then the Inner Circle make their way to the ring. Jericho says that he has a lot to say, and boy did he. This was a long promo. He says that the Inner Circle are back in black, and then he calls the Pinnacle the Pineapple, and then Sammy Guevara corrects him, obviously. Says that the beatdown from the Pinnacle gave them a lot to think about. It gave them a hospital bed, some stitches, but more than anything, it gave them a wake-up call. And this is essentially the promo to officially turn the Inner Circle babyface. I think we could all see that pretty transparently. A couple things here and there that were a little bit forced or awkward or whatever, but whatever, we got the point across. Jericho keeps calling MJF my jerk-off friend. Love that. He went at the Pinnacle, and we will get into that too, but I think he definitely gave a receipt for all of the hairline and weight comments that MJF has been throwing at him for the past few weeks. So he admits that he's smart about certain things, but he's terrible at chemistry and something about smoking pot or dope, or I don't know. But he's smart about wrestling, and that's why he brought MJF into the Inner Circle, to keep him under his thumb. He says that he wants to use MJF to suck all of the life out of him, which, again, was a little bit heelish. I guess because they did it while they were heels, it was okay. It was a little convoluted. This is what I was talking about. It got a little weird. The point being is that he says MJF is great for his age, but he wants to be better than Jericho now. He tells him that he needs to try to be better than Peter Avalon, Michael Nakazawa, better than the Burberry scarf he's worn for years, rather than trying to be better than Chris Jericho right now, because Chris Jericho is on another level. Goes at him about the scarf. This was my favorite line of the promo. I think he mentions that he wore the scarf for a while, tells him he should take up a clipboard and add it to the list, hint hint, wink wink, of gimmicks he's stolen from him. You all can see the MJF Chris Jericho parallels even before this whole Inner Circle thing, so I love that. I did a little nod to the list. That was one of the fact that Chris Jericho got over a list as a gimmick is unbelievable. So he says that Tully Blanchard was a third string of the Four Horsemen, somewhere between Ole Anderson and Paul Roma. And FTR is great, but he can't tell them apart. And then he calls him Cash, Dax, Wax, Cash, Axe, Smash, whatever. Again, funny, because I get that. Sometimes I mix them up as well. And then he says that Shawn Spears, this is my favorite part, Shawn Spears hooking up with MJF. is a worse idea than a blonde mohawk in 2021. Best line of the whole promo. I know, I feel like I've said that three times already, but whatever. That's my new favorite line, guys. It's so funny. Shawn Spears looks like such a freaking idiot, so I love that. And he says Wardlow is so stupid that he has to strip naked to count to 21. That took me a minute, but I got it. Poker, blackjack, again, took me a minute. Love it. Jericho says he's known the Pinnacle is great and they'll beat them up, but that's fine. They love to fight. There's a fight they've been waiting for since March of last year. And then, guys, it happens. Chris Jericho, the Inner Circle challenge, the Pineapple. Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle challenged the Pinnacle to a blood and guts match. It's happening, guys. Blood and Guts, May 5th. I am excited for this. Definitely warrants it. The only thing I'll say is all of this Inner Circle Pinnacle stuff feels a little bit rushed. I don't know. Maybe I am not seeing the bigger picture of it yet. I don't know. It just felt a little bit rushed. But we will get into more Pinnacle Inner Circle dynamics later on. But all in all, guys, Chris Jericho, great as usual. Not his best promo. Like I said, a little convoluted here and there. But I love the distance through. The reactions, like the reacting from the Inner Circle behind him made it so much better. I know it seems like such a small thing, but Hager cracking up, Santana and Ortiz, like it added to the promo itself. So I'm excited for this, and we will talk more about Inner Circle Pinnacle shenanigans later on. But we're moving on down now to the Christian Cage backstage interview. He says he feels like last week was the culmination of an entire year of him scratching and clawing and grinding to get back to the ring, kiss the ring. You guys know the whole deal. He keeps talking about Frankie Kazarian, puts him over, says, he took him into deep waters and his lungs felt like they were on fire. And then Taz comes in and says that, they've known each other for a while and essentially offers him a opportunity to be a part of Team Taz. And yeah, out of the blue, weird. I get it. Like I said, Taz mentioned they have a long relationship, but I don't know. I guess to me, Christian just doesn't fit the mold of Team Taz whatsoever. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is to have an older veteran guy in there. And I have a feeling, guys, I'm saying all this, but I can bet my house, and I always say that, but I don't have a house. I still rent an apartment. I could bet my rented apartment that Christian isn't joining AEW. Christian isn't joining Team Taz. Jeez. Yes, I can bet that Christian is not joining Team Taz, that this is just a next stop for Christian, and we're going to see some good matchups out of the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to this. A little weird, a little out of the blue. But I trust the process in AEW, which is a beautiful gift that was earned, the trust in the process, by a lot of other things that I wasn't so sure about. And then what do I know? AEW, proves me that they've known what they've been doing about all along. Known what they have been doing all along, and I just couldn't see the bigger picture. So I trust the process, and I'm excited to see what comes next with this. And yeah. We moved on to a Jurassic Express versus Bear Country match. This was the whole Godzilla versus Kong thing. They played a quick little video package of this. And there wasn't much to talk about this, guys. This was exactly what you'd expect. It was a fun little match. Great high-flying action. Luchasaurus is awesome. I feel like I put him over, too, a lot on this show. Or maybe I don't put him over enough. Yeah, it was exciting. It was fun to watch. I can't really say much more than that. There's not a lot of analyzing to do. I think this was mostly a good crossover promotion with this whole Godzilla versus Kong thing. Clever promotion. Didn't feel forced. I'll give it to him. I like this. And yeah, it was as simple as that. Just Jungle Boy gets a cool springing DDT on Bronson. Lucha hits an inverted DDT to Boulder. Bronson with the Michinoku driver onto a pile to break up the pin. Bronson hits the Michinoku driver onto a pile to break up the pin. And then they go for the assisted splash, but Jungle Boy hits a low drop kick to break that up. Luchasaurus hits a tail whip to Bronson, clotheslines Boulder to the floor, and then hits the choke slam on Bronson. And then they get the standing moonsault for the win. Exactly what you'd expect, guys. Jurassic Express comes away with this with the 1, 2, 3, and fun. You know, nothing more really to say about this. And as I am looking over the show now, I realize that I just called out AEW for this whole Nightmare Family thing, Nightmare Factory, excuse me. I don't know why I keep mixing that up. And I totally missed this. So what probably happened is boring. Long story go away, guys. I watch this on a streaming thing. I don't watch this live on cable because I'm broke and can't afford cable. And so there was a little glitch in it, and this is the thing that must have gotten cut out. So I apologize. I take back what I said. There was a follow-up from the Nightmare Factory, and I'm going to quickly go back and watch this now so we can review this.
5 minutes later.
All right, guys, thank you for bearing with me. Went back, and yeah, so we go to the Nightmare Family, and they're there with QT Marshall. He says he's sick of the narrative that Cody went out of his way to help him. He's sick of playing second fiddle to him. Claims that he went onto the indies to surround himself with vanilla midgets to finally feel like he was the star he'd never be. He says that he doesn't worry about anybody else and their success, which is ironic because he just talked about that. But and then that Aaron Solo will never be known as someone else's husband. Camarado will never be called a body guy. He lets Ogogo take the microphone next, and Ogogo says that he's a household name in Great Britain already. He's a star. The British people follow him and cheer him everywhere, but they're not in Great Britain. They're in bad word America, and he's going to show everybody what a big deal he is here in America. So, good promo. Guys, I am, they announced this later on. I'm excited for the debut of Anthony Ogogo. Again, I'm not from Britain, so if any of you guys are, which a couple of you guys are who have emailed me, are you excited for this? Because I don't know anything about this guy, but all I've seen is star. I can't explain it. It's just a quality that you have, and this guy's got it. So, I'm looking forward to next week. All right. Next. Would you guys believe it? Tony Schiavone introduces Sting. And yet again, Sting can't say a thing before someone comes out to interrupt him. And once again, we see Jake Roberts, who asks Sting where his little gerbil friend is. And I like that line, actually. I can't even lie. And then says that Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and he is a crazy son of a bleep, and is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Lance Archer grabs the mic and says that if it's the definite... Let's try again, guys. Lance Archer grabs the microphone and says, if that's the definition, then Jake's insane, but he's a sick son of a bleep. And then he says that he fights Jon Moxley and then goes away, works a main event after a main event and then goes away. He's sick of it. He says the world will see him. He should be in the main event. It should be him with Schiavone getting interviewed, not Sting. Sting takes the mic back and says he's in full agreement with him. He doesn't get why a main event guy like him disappears either. Tells Jake Roberts to shut up. Says that he thinks Archer is a main event material and he's got it. Tells, again, Jake Roberts to channel that anger. Says he can do it and he can get an AEW title match again. And this time, no disappearance. Make it happen. Make it showtime. Do it. And then Archer smiles and Sting leaves. And this was weird. Again, guys, I don't know what's new about this. How many times have we seen this? I'm sick of this. I feel like if you want to hear my analysis on this, I feel like I should copy and paste whatever I said the last couple weeks. I don't know. Come up with something new. It's like the interruption to the interview. Again, what did I say, right? Someone's getting interviewed. Someone interrupts them before they can say a word. Again. Like, it's the same damn formula. Come up with something new, and at least come up with something new in this one storyline. I mean, same stuff. Anyways, whatever. I'm so bored of that at this point. Hopefully they can regain my interest and come up with something new and creative to do with this rather than the same thing every week. Alright, Team Taz is backstage. Ricky Starks says thank you to Brian Cage for the win, and was about to let him talk, but Taz stops him and says that Ricky Starks is instigating him, and he wants to win over Christian Cage so they can have him be a part of the group, and so that they have to be smart. Again, saw this last week, just little continuous dissension between Team Taz and that they're trying to get Christian to be a part of the group. You guys heard my thoughts on that already. Alright, on to the TNT Championship match between Darby Allin and JD Drake. Of course, Drake does not get an entrance for the match, so you know he's not winning, even if you thought he had a chance, which no one in their right minds did. This was a good match, guys. Again, fun to watch, but I mean, I don't know, the John Silver match to me was way more exciting. Like, to me, Darby Allin's TNT Championship reign has been underwhelming in comparison to Cody Rhodes's. I don't know if that's Darby Allin's fault or what the deal is, but I don't know. Well, this match seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. Maybe I was not paying enough attention, but and JD Drake looked great. Don't get me wrong. This was a showcase for him, but I don't know. I just don't see much follow up from this. Maybe I'm wrong, and again, maybe I can trust the process, but whatever. I think the commercial breaks really don't help this either. I don't know. It just interrupts the flow of the match, and I know they have picture-in-picture, but I hate picture-in-picture. I'd rather listen to a match than watch it. I'm weird like that. So, yeah. Anyways, JD Drake goes up for the Vader Bomb, and you get a close near fall. Goes back up to the top rope, tries to hit a moonsault. Threw me back to, like, Shooting Star Press Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania against Kurt Angle. Weird. But awesome. Weird comparison, I mean, but awesome athleticism by JD Drake. Darby Allin moves out of the way, of course, because otherwise he would have died. And he goes to the top rope. Drake stops him. They get in a slap fight. And Darby Allin bites his hand and then hits the Avalanche Code Red and then goes up to the other turnbuckle and hits a coffin drop. And he gets the pinfall victory. Like I said, it was a good match, guys, and JD Drake looks great. It's just, I think this match was more of a conduit for what happened afterwards, and we will get into that in a minute, but I don't know. I think this title reign has kind of been anticlimactic with Darby Allin. A couple great matches, but I don't know. Like, let me put it this way. I'm going to go back, and I have gone back to watch that Rey Fenix, Kenny Omega match, main event match for the title. Maybe that's not the best comparison. I'm trying to think of all of these. I've gone back and watched those U.S. Championship matches that John Cena had. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, right? I could go down the list. I think there was Dean Ambrose was in there, I think, once. You know, all these awesome matches on Raw that he had, you know, every week that showcase new talent. Again, was there a lot of follow-up with that? Probably not. But my point being is that memorable things like how many years was that? And I could still name a couple of these matches off to you guys. Same thing with Cody Rhodes. I'm just not feeling that way with Darby Allin. I don't know what it is, and I don't think it's his fault. I'm not blaming this on Darby Allin. I don't know, maybe he's just not. I don't think Darby Allin is built for this role of quote-unquote putting other talent over. I think, like, if he's facing a big guy, like, you know, no crap, they can throw him around. He weighs as much as I do. And then if he's against a guy about his size, and you get to see his technical wrestling side, I don't know, it's just like another great match on Dynamite. It's just, I'm not getting the same feel and the same vibe as I did, the same prestige on the TNT title as I did when Cody had it. And I don't know, I'm just not feeling Darby. I feel like I like Darby Allin in chase mode more. That's, I think, what I'm trying to get to after all this tangent. I want Darby Allin in chase mode again. I don't necessarily like him as this long-reigning champion. And I know eventually if he's in chase mode that has to happen. Something's not clicking for me here. I don't know. Maybe, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Maybe you can put put the words in my mouth because seemingly I cannot find them. But all right, after the match, guys, Darby Allin celebrating, and then of course we get our Matt Hardy quota here on AEW Dynamite, and the Butcher and the Blade essentially just shoulder block him, and the Bunny starts to yell at the announce table. I think she's trying to clear the table so they can power bomb him or slam him through it. And of course, Sting and the entire Dark Order come out to help Darby Allin get Matt Hardy and his faction away. Bunny is left alone, and then we get Ty Conte beating her up, grounding and pounding, and then we get their match up next. But before the women's match, we have the Pinnacle Chris Jericho Mike Tyson segment, and so quick recap, guys. Pinnacle jumps Chris Jericho as he's in an interview, believe it or not, right? He's in an interview, can barely get a word out, and gets beat up again. It's just, there's gotta be another way, guys. Or at least I want, have a couple interviews that don't get interrupted. I think that's a better way to break this whole thing up. All right, I'm done. I'm not dying on that hill. All right, so yes, they jump Chris Jericho, eventually get him out to the ring, hit him with a spike pile driver from FTR, and then we're like, where the heck is the Inner Circle? Turns out that their dressing room door was bolted shut, so you assume Hager is chucking a stool through the door and breaks it down. And as Wardlow is about to power bomb Jericho out of the ring and through a table, we hear Mike Tyson's music. Comes out to the ring, rips his shirt off, kind of. He's really got a bad rap of ripping his shirt off in AEW. Anyways, rips his shirt off, gets the rest of the Pinnacle out of the ring, and then just goes off on Shawn Spears, which, again, was kind of the perfect runt of the litter to pick. Poor Shawn Spears just took lefts and rights. And then finally the Inner Circle makes it to the ring. They all celebrate. Chris Jericho no-sells the pile driver, and they have a nice moment with Jericho and Tyson in the ring. And the reason I like this, guys, and again, I know we talked on the top of the show about the whole Mike Tyson thing, but the reason I like this segment in particular is this. In the promo that Chris Jericho cut earlier in the show, I told you guys it was a little bit convoluted, weird, when he was trying to make it clear that they were turning babyface. We didn't get that point, but I understand the purpose of that, and I like that. It just was a little jumpy, weird. This symbolism, we can call it, was the, sprinkles on top of the cake. This topped it off for me. Because, obviously, if you've been watching AEW, you remember the pull apart brawl between Tyson and Chris Jericho when the Inner Circle were heels. Now that they are doing the right thing, quote unquote, and not bad guys anymore, you have Tyson on their side and actually making the save for Jericho, and them shaking hands and having an embrace in the ring. Just brilliant little story beats, storytelling. You've got kind of similar to what they did with the other promotion in the match with Bear Country and Jurassic Express. That's a good way to have Mike Tyson on the show. This made sense to me. I like this. I think this was, whether or not it was long-term booked or hot-shotted because TakeOver was on the same night, I thought this was well done and good symbolism and really just smart booking to really put home the fact that the Inner Circle are now baby faces. So, good stuff. And then before we get to the women's match, we have Britt Baker and Rebel doing a promo or doing an interview. All right, I'm going to restart, guys. I'm going to try this one over because it's late at night, and I don't even think I'm going to edit that out. I think we're just going to take a take two. All right, Britt Baker and Rebel are having an interview with Marvez or Tony Schiavone. I forget who it was, but you know what? It was Tony Schiavone, and you know how I remember that? Did Tony Schiavone get his ears pierced? Anybody notice that? Or have I just never noticed that before? It's I don't know why I couldn't take my eyes off that. Maybe it was just because it's an older guy with his ears pierced, which is fine. Rock on if Tony Schiavone wants to get his whole face pierced. Totally cool with that. It would look weird, but I'm totally cool with it. It just didn't, I don't know, for some reason it was distracting for me. But anyways, Britt Baker cuts a promo in the interview and says that the AEW and Tony Khan should give the people what they want, and by people she meant Mimi Burris here on the AEW Dynamite review show here on the unofficial WWE podcast, because This is exactly what I want. They should give her a title match for the AEW Women's Championship against Hikaru Shida. She claims that title matches shouldn't be based on wins and losses after Tony Schiavone says that she's in 4th in the rankings, and that they should be given to the biggest stars based on t-shirt sales and ratings and demos. But she will pretend like the ranking system matters, and she will be getting her wins up, and she basically puts over all of AEW shows on TV and on YouTube and all that stuff. So, I don't know, Britt Baker, guys, is Britt Baker. Great interview. Not great interview, great promo. Great job at putting over these shows that, obviously don't get as many eyes on them as Dynamite does. I want to see Britt Baker in a title match. Honestly, guys, as she was doing this whole thing, I had this whole dream booking scenario that went on in my head, and that is she beats Hikaru Shida for the title in a bloody beatdown because she's Britt Baker, and it doesn't need to be bloody, but when I mean a bloody beatdown, I just mean just a violent match because she's Britt Baker. Gets her to tap out with the lockjaw or knocks her out, or TKO, whatever you want to call it, with the lockjaw, and that's not the right word for it. What's not TKO? Essentially, when she can't even tap out, she's just passed out. Maybe it is. I don't know. All right, guys. Anyways, she wins the AEW Women's Championship next week on Dynamite. Says this title sucks because guess what, guys? That title does suck, and I think I've ranted before about it on this show. But that title is awful. It's literally the size of my hand. I have big hands, but still, that's not the point. Anyways, I hate that title. It looks like a little kid's toy. It looks like something I get in my McDonald's Happy Meal. It looks like a little thing that would be on top of a cupcake. It's just bad. It's a stupid looking belt. You guys want to talk about that IWGP title, whatever looks bad? Sorry, look no further than the AEW women's belt because it looks like a dinky toy in comparison to all the other belts on the brand. Give the women a real freaking title, please. And so have Britt Baker come out the next night on Dynamite after she beats Hikaru Shida and throw that title out in the trash and unveil a new, beautiful, big, shiny, well-deserving women's title belt. That's my dream booking. Let's make it happen, guys. All right. Moving on, the Bunny versus Ty Conte. I'm going to do that every time, guys. It's my fault for being engaged to someone named Taylor. All right. The Bunny versus Ty Conte. This was a good match. This was fun to watch. The only thing I didn't need the interference from Matt Hardy and anyone really. I would have loved to see this as just a straight, clean victory. But of course, we had the involvement from Hikaru Shida after Bunny gets a cheap shot on her, takes the kendo stick. Hikaru Shida gets her comeuppance, and Ty Conte gets the pinfall after she hits the DD Ty. And yeah, it's nice to see a healthy respect between a babyface champion and a babyface challenger. It's a typical story, but it's more for me. It's just like I just wanted her to get a clean victory here. I didn't need all this shenanigans, but the match was good. The work was good, and yeah, she looks impressive. She looks great. She looks like she's improving every week. So good stuff. Just I would have tweaked a couple things, I guess. All right, guys. Last but not least here, and then we are all done here on this AEW Dynamite review, was the main event. Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks. Kind of saw this coming, but really didn't want to see it coming, so I just prayed it away, and too bad, it happened anyways. Before we get into the aftermath, obviously, though, this match, I think this was mostly a means to an end. It was not their best six-man tag match they've ever put on. It was not as good as you'd probably expect with these six guys in the ring. But there was some high-flying action. The Young Bucks are great as always. Some good chain wrestling. But again, nothing as exciting as we'd probably hope if this was going to be more, if this was a competitive match rather than just the conduit to what was going to happen after the match. All right. So yeah, we get towards the end of the match, and the story becomes that Matt Jackson is too emotional to super kick Kenny Omega. He can hit him with a bunch of other stuff, but no, he can't super kick him. I do, but before he actually, he didn't super kick him. Before the whole feigning the super kick, before the whole not being able to do the super kick, I love that move when the Young Bucks, they fake the super kick. They feign the super kick, and then they hit him with whatever else. I don't know, there's something real about that to me. Brings me into whatever they're doing. I just like that. Where you see the guy ducking, and then they hit him with another move. Just small thing, but I really like that. So, yeah. He goes for the super kick, but he doesn't feel like he can do it. He stops, and he starts, and he stops, and he starts, and then Kenny Omega starts slapping him, and then he tackles him, hits the ground. Matt tackles Kenny Omega, ground and pound, and then everybody comes into the ring. Kenny hits a Snapdragon suplex to Matt, and then pulls him back up for another one. Goes for the V-trigger, but Moxley comes in with the interference and hits him with a clothesline. Love when they do the little flippy dip when they get hit with a clothesline. It's a little overdone now, but it always adds a little bit. Matt Jackson hits the pile driver for a close near fall on Kenny Omega, but you can tell he feels bad about it. Again, going back and forth. He keeps asking if Kenny's all right. Pulls him up slowly, and then Nick goes up top. They hit the more bang for your buck, which is an awesome sequence of moves, the flips and whatever. Just the Young Bucks are great. Carl Anderson comes up and breaks up the pin in very dramatic fashion, I might add. Nick Jackson throws him out of the ring, leaps over the top rope, hits the corkscrew moonsault, just casually as the Young Bucks do. And then Matt Jackson still checking on Kenny Omega, but then Nick says, let's hit the BTE trigger, but Matt can't do it, and then Moxley starts yelling at him, and then Matt's like, okay, but then he can't do it, and then Mox starts yelling at him, and then he angrily tags himself in, shoves him away, hits the paradigm shift, hits another paradigm shift, starts going for a sleeper, or rear naked choke, and then wants to hit a third paradigm shift, but the Young Bucks hit the super kick to Jon Moxley. Eddie Kingston quickly rushes out, but the Good Brothers stop him because he has one leg, hit the Magic Killer on the ramp, and then the Good Brothers hit the Magic Killer on Moxley, and then Kenny drapes an arm over him, or really is dragged over to him, and gets the 1-2-3. The Bucks look all sad and conflicted, but then the Good Brothers pick up Moxley, and they all start talking with each other, the Elites, the Bullet Club, and then we get a stereo super kick to Jon Moxley, and then the crowd is all screaming, "You sold out," which they did, and then the Elite is back together with a group hug, and I am mad at the Young Bucks, but they did this all very well. I don't know. I guess, guys, I think the Young Bucks are not the best actors, but they can tell a story better in the ring, better than they could ever do if you put a mic in front of them, and I think that's what they did tonight. I think it was really well done for what it was. I don't think babyface Young Bucks were working that well with this whole thing, so I'm excited to see how this whole big faction does now. I mean, this is like an unbeatable faction. You've got the Good Brothers, who are obviously in Impact Wrestling, but then you've got the Young Bucks, who are the AEW Tag Team Champions. You've got Kenny Omega, who is the World Champion. And you've got the mouthpiece of Don Callis. Like, I don't know who's going to take these guys down. And now, after this, I'm really sad because I can tell the Death Triangle is probably not going to win next week. But, whatever. I mean, this was, again, in the wide range of webs that Kenny Omega has spun in all these storylines. This was another great development. I'm excited to see what they do next. I have no idea what's next for the Elite, but I'm glad that the Young Bucks don't have to force this weird babyface thing where Matt Jackson gets slapped a million times and doesn't do anything. It was weird. So, great main event. If we're talking storytelling, the actual wrestling was fun and exciting, but I don't know, these guys probably could have put on a way better match, but I don't think that was the point of this whole thing. So, yeah, guys, I mean, overall, I feel like I complained a lot on the show, but everything was storyline progressive further storylines. So, there's not much to complain about. I just didn't like a lot of the execution, a lot of things. But for the most part, the wrestling was good. I think they were fighting a uphill battle against TakeOver tonight. The Tyson thing looked kind of desperate, but they weaved it into the story well, and I liked that whole symbolism thing. I think that was probably one of my key favorite parts of the whole show, just because it was so masterfully done. If you obviously think back to where they were, Mike Tyson and Chris Jericho versus where they are now, I just think that tied Chris Jericho's whole promo together, so I like that part. So, yeah, guys, I mean, overall, not the best Dynamite ever, but a good show nonetheless, and I want to get into previewing next week's because I am bang on excited about what is to come next week. So let me look up the match card real quick for what they announced. First and foremost, we have the debut of Anthony Ogogo, and I am just excited about that because I get to say the word Ogogo. But no, really, we have the in-ring debut of Anthony Ogogo with QT Marshall obviously by his side. Excited to see this. I hope we don't see anything from the Rhodes family yet. They got their butt whooped. Stay off TV for a while. Maybe at most there's a little eyeing between Red Velvet and them at some point, but I don't want to see the Rhodes family back. I just want to give me some exposure for these trainees. Let me know who they are before I can get invested in this storyline. So keep the opposition, keep the baby faces away for a while. Let me get to know the heels. Let me learn to hate them. Let me learn who they are so I can hate them. So I'm looking forward to that, guys, though, because like I said, Anthony Ogogo looks like he's just got some star power. Next, we've got Chris Jericho with Sammy Guevara in his corner and Dax Harwood with Cash Wheeler in his corner. The special ringside enforcer is Iron Mike Tyson. And yeah, all other Inner Circle and Pinnacle members are barred from ringside. So this should be fun. You know, Chris Jericho in the ring is never something I take for granted anymore because obviously he is on his way later part of his career. Dax Harwood has shown what he can do in singles competition, so I expect this to be a great match. I expect no shenanigans with the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, as in the other members, at least during this match, because I believe that AEW puts that stipulation so they can tell us that we're actually going to get a good match between these two guys. And I'm excited to see what Mike Tyson does next week, too. It seems a little bit like he's overstaying his welcome, but I also feel like it would be weird to not follow that up with what happened this week, so I'm kind of contradicting myself, but whatever. All right, moving on. TNT Championship match, Falls Count Anywhere, TNT Champion Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy. What? Someone tell me where Matt Hardy lies in the ranking system, because I don't get this. I understand that Matt Hardy and Darby Allin have this whole feud thing going on, but yeah, guys, it just doesn't seem to add up that this is already happening. One, it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, which is intense. And then, what has Matt Hardy done? You want to know the rankings? It's number 1, Adam Page. Number 2, Jon Moxley. Number 3, Max Caster. Number 4, Jungle Boy. And number 5, Cody Rhodes. And obviously, above those two, you have Kenny Omega and Darby Allin. But Matt Hardy isn't even in the top 5. So why is he getting a TNT Championship match? Why? Because he attacked the champion? What am I watching? WWE? Not liking this. I'm sure Darby Allin's going to do some insane stuff. I don't know, guys. I'm sick of seeing Matt Hardy in singles competition. I think his wrestling is boring in comparison to what the rest of the roster and the young talent can do on that show. I'd rather give me Max Caster again in a match, or give me some more young talent, you know. I don't know, guys. Give more time for the women's division. Have 2 women's division matches on a show. That'd be insane. Rather than putting Matt Hardy on my freaking television every week and giving him an unwarranted TNT Championship match. That's Falls Count Anywhere. All right, moving on to stuff I am excited about, because Red Velvet and Jade Cargill are finally facing next week. I have been anticipating this. I am excited for this, guys. I thought this story was built so well from that Shaq match. I thought that was a beautiful way to use a celebrity. I've been talking about that for weeks now. Love Red Velvet. Jade Cargill is a freaking beast. I would have loved to see more of her, like maybe one more squash match or a little bit more of her this week than the short promo that we got from the both of them, but whatever. I'm excited for this next week. I have no idea what's going to go down. I assume Jade Cargill is going to take the win, and we are going to see a triumphing Red Velvet later on down the line in a long-term story booking kind of way that AEW will be able to do so beautifully, and I will not be able to try to explain well. All right, and last but not least, guys, the match I am most excited about on this card because I've been talking about it for weeks, waiting for it. Pac is back, guys, back in action, and we've got the AEW World Tag Team Championship match, the Young Bucks versus Pac and Rey Fenix. I want Pac and Rey Fenix Death Triangle to take the win, but I really don't think they're going to. I think these guys deserve gold around their waist. I think they're two of the most exciting competitors on AEW, and I think that Tony Khan and anyone backstage agrees. And the way I know that is after the Shaq match, guys, from that Dynamite, who do they put on television right away? Quick squash match, quick high-flying luchador squash match with Rey Fenix and Pac against, I don't even know who they faced. Just to show you guys, like these casual fans that might have been tuning in for Pac, oh, by the way, we have Rey Fenix and Pac, and they're incredible. Keep watching this show. Yeah, like I said, guys, sadly, I do not think that Death Triangle takes the titles off of the Young Bucks next week, but I am super excited to see this match, really looking forward to it. Always excited when Rey Fenix is on my television, and I didn't mention, though, Penta, Rey Fenix, and Pac were so funny in the little amount of time that they got to talk on the in the ring tonight. I know, obviously, they don't use a lot of English, at least Rey Fenix and Penta don't, but their comedic timing is kind of brilliant, and maybe it's partially that Spanish translator who's awesome, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but yeah, I don't know. Overall, guys, like I said, though, I'm excited for this match, and looking forward to next week, and hoping it's going to be a lot more exciting than this week, because it already looks like it based off the match card, and we've got our first unopposed Wednesday, so it'll be cool to see how the ratings do. I know last week did not get a big number. I'm excited to see what this week did in comparison to TakeOver. And yeah, we'll have to see how AEW goes unopposed, as we can all say clearly they were the winners of this sad excuse of a Wednesday night war. And with that, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with me. It's been a long night. I'm going to bed. You guys should too. Unless you're listening to this in the middle of the day, then don't go to bed. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will talk to you guys soon.